Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names of kicking candy ass live in the cover here with you on Grande's Graveyard. And tonight I am joined by one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, the man that I've been up and down the road with, talking all things horror back on the FHMP, baby. That was
Hell yeah.
the days, the glory days. He is the legendary, the one, the only. Don, nice. What's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, dude. I'm excited. There's snow on the ground, as you already know, a lot of snow where you're at. And it's almost Christmas. And I got to watch one of my favorite movies of all time. So, and one of my least favorite movies of all time, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, we've covered it all. Like you said before we went live, from the peak to the fucking valley.
That's right. That's right. Sound like a little Ric Flair quote, huh? From the peaks to the valleys.
The mountaintops. Woo! 16 times the heavyweight champion. Bucky Rhodes, I'm coming for you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I know you are too.
Oh, I am super stoked to have you back on. Always love talking with you. Originally, I had planned to have you on in October to do Candyman, but Candyman, the new Candyman gets delayed, and I don't know when the hell it's going to come out.
I was going to say, I haven't heard anything either. I have no idea.
I don't either. I don't know.
But
I think it's delayed, but I don't know when it's going to come out.
But what are your hopes? You don't have super high hopes for that, do you?
I don't at all.
I'm hoping to be surprised, but you never know. Not in today's day and age. It gets a little scarier every time a remake comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Never know what you're going to get.
Well, we're going to talk about one. I mean,
yes.
Anything like that. Holy shit.
Right. Yeah. No thanks.
Candyman starts bleeding black ooze of masculinity. I don't know. I might spontaneously combust.
Right. Just past the movie theater, take me straight to the morgue.
Yep. Always, anytime. We got a bunch of people here. Arthur Bremer's in the heat. Yes. Yo, hell yeah. What's up, Arthur? How are you? I'm dreaming of a black Christmas. Yes, just like the ones I used to know. Literally like the fucking song, all right? I used to know the good Black Christmas. AJ Zitro's in the house. He likes my shirt. Too sweet. Art says, nice to meet you, Don.
Nice to meet you. Good to see you, I guess. Good to see you are tuning in to the graveyard. I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I watched these movies over the past 3 nights. I did a 3-night marathon extravaganza of the original remake and second remake, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, respectively. And I guess we can dive right in, unless but I know we talked a little bit pre-show. How have you been though, man? Have you seen any new horror movies? Anything, Christmas horror related? What have you been watching this month, or just Christmas movies in general? I was watching Home Alone today.
I haven't watched, I haven't watched a ton of new stuff, man. There's this new movie out and I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Monster Love and Monsters. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Love and Monsters. Oh man, dude, really cool movie. I don't want to get too much into it, but it's really, really cool. It's like a sci-fi. It reminds me of it's kind of like a zombie movie, but it takes place in the future. And instead of zombies, it's giant bugs. Like a meteor was supposed to hit the earth, and all the countries sent all their nukes out to kill this meteor or destroy this meteor. And the radiation from the nukes got to the bugs. So the bugs are all big and huge and everybody has to live underground. Anyways, and this kid has to go and find his girlfriend that he lost. And, anytime they go to the surface, they got to worry about these bugs. It's a really, really cool movie. My whole family watched it. If you got, if you're into, like a sci-fi, it had a zombie vibe, like I said. So it was really, really cool. I give it like a 4.5 out of 5. That's how much I liked it.
Ooh, and where can I watch this? Is it on?
It's on, you could buy it now on DVD, Blu-ray, Vudu, Amazon, any of that, Apple, you can rent it for like $4 or $5, but it's definitely worth the rent for sure. No doubt.
Excellent, man. Yeah. See, Don's always bringing out ones I've never seen. He is the Prime Minister of Sinister. We call him that for a reason, okay? That's like my favorite nickname of all time. That's not my nickname.
Yeah. Pajama Pants Player. Yeah, come on, man. It don't get no better than that.
Fine. But you actually went to ministry school, so I always thought that was actually works. Like there's not a Pajama Pants Play Academy that I know.
I went to the Prime Minister Academy, but I went the black side. You know what I'm saying? I went to the dark side. So, But anyway, yeah, man. No, I mean, I watch a ton of movies, man. But you know me, I can never remember. I should write this stuff down, man. I don't know. I'm getting old, dude. I'm almost 50.
Dude, age is only a number.
That's right.
We do all the cliches. It's only a number.
That's what I tell all the ladies. I mean my wife.
Yeah, the lady. No plural. No plural.
Right. The lady.
The lady. Kyle Allen's in the house, grinding you the man. Yo, Kyle, you the man. Me and Kyle recently, we had a really fun movie night watching the original Suspiria on Blu-ray, and he has these speakers, man. It was the best time I ever watched Suspiria. It was like amazing. You could hear the Goblin score in the left speaker, and then like
yeah,
you know,
yeah, man. I love
great.
Suspiria, dude. Suspiria is a classic.
It was the best time I ever watched Suspiria. It was just absolutely. So Kyle's the man, and he treated me to pizza. So he's forever in
Kyle. No, you the man. You the man, Kyle.
No, you the man, Kyle. Ryan Snyder. I'm watching the 20.
Ryan Snyder, what's up?
What's up, brother? I'm watching the new one right now, and oh my god, what the fuck? Exactly my reaction.
Totally.
What in the fuck, man? Yeah, me, I'm like, noted, brother. 2019 is urban legend. It doesn't actually exist. I wish.
Yeah, geez.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
We'll get there, but I guess we can start with the almighty classic from 1974. I usually read the plot synopsis, but for whatever reason, when I tried that, it literally slowed down my camera. I'm not even kidding you. That's how piece of shit my computer is. But it is from 1974. It is from legendary filmmaker, may he rest in peace, Mr. Bob Clark. It is Black Christmas. Oh, yeah. I got the Critical Mass Blu-ray here. Don Nice rocking it on the TV. I actually thought that was a painting when we first started. That's how stupid I am. And he was like, no, it's my TV. Dope. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is. But
I just painted that right before we started.
What's that?
I painted that right before we started.
Masterpiece. Master Bob Ross.
Yeah, right. Happy little tree.
Little tree here.
That's right. That's right.
Nice little tree. But Don, dude, tell me, man, because I know this is one of your favorites. And this is actually one of the movies that you, back in the day, really turned me on to, because I had seen the movie and enjoyed it, but it was through talking to you that I really grew the appreciation and love for this film, man. Give me your thoughts, man. What do you love about Black Christmas?
Well, first of all, one of the things that I think the main thing for me about this movie is made in 1974. I mean, fuck, that's a long time ago. I was 2 when this movie was made. So if that gives you any idea. Yeah. So, but anyways, I like this movie. One of the reasons I like this movie is because every time you watch it, it gets better. I think I told you that already, but it really very, very little does it show its age. You know, I mean, you could see it in the clothes and in the cars and things like that. But, and, you know, with the phone system in this movie, you know, they try to trace calls and things like that. But other than that, man, this movie stands the test of time, dude. You know, we're going to talk about 2006. 2006 had, I really enjoyed 2006. I'll just say that right now. We'll get into that later. But, you know, it had the hotter chicks in it. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's kind of a thing John and I always talk about. But I really like Olivia Hussey in this movie. Even Margot Kidder's good looking, man. I'm like, really, Margot Kidder? But it had everything, you know. It had. There's talking about 2019 and the social commentary and stuff. This movie had a lot of social commentary for the time, and we can get into that a little bit later as we talk about this. But this movie really, it kind of pulls all the strings. You know what I mean? That's why I consider this the first slasher movie. I really do. I think that, you know, when you talk about the tropes, this movie really had it. You know, I love Carpenter. I love Halloween, but God damn it, dude, this is the fucking movie right here. It plain and simple. This is the quintessential slasher. It started the whole goddamn thing. Come fight me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I ain't arguing with that because I agree with everything you said. And you know what's funny? Like we were talking before we went on the air, and you said something that I completely was thinking. You said this is like a giallo. It's really like an American-made giallo. And what I love about this film is it almost feels like maybe Mario Bava himself was behind the camera. It really does feel like something Mario Bava would do. It like a little bit of a, you know, and even with the black in front of it, you know, movies like Black Sunday, Black Sabbath, Blood and Black Lace, Black Christmas, it really feels inspired by those gothic tones and then just mixed together with the giallo and
Totally.
with the almighty holiday of giving and wonder and joy and just completely turning that over on its head.
I agree.
It's fantastic, man. It
I agree.
really great.
One of the things that I thought about too when I was watching this, that crazy voice Billy has, voices, I guess Billy has. First of all, it's super creepy, but it reminded me of New York Ripper.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And I always wonder if he stole that idea from this movie, you know what I mean? Because it was so creepy, and I think 3 people did the voices. Did you know that? And one of them was a woman, which I thought was pretty interesting. And I guess the story is, and you can look this up. I'm sure you can find it on Google. But the woman that they had do it, she was like smoking cigarettes and drinking Jack Daniels before she was doing her lines and shit. Yeah. And the one of the other people is Bob Clark himself. And the other one is Nick. I can't remember the actor's name. Nick.
Not Nick Castle.
No. That would have been pretty creepy. But anyways, you would know the name. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you would know his name. But again, I think that aspect, which is what's missing from the 2006 movie, is they tried to go the technology route in 2006. It didn't really work out. But man, those calls are fucking brutal, dude. I mean, that's a real perverted conversation that Billy was having with the girls at the very beginning there, man. It's fucking crazy. What do you think?
Yeah, and it goes from all different aspects. Like, it starts off very crazy, and I love Margot Kidder in this. Somebody met Ben Grimm, my good buddy Ben Grimm. There's a bunch of more people. Aiden, Dark Mytopia, welcome all.
What's up, Aiden?
Margot Kidder's his favorite part. I love that scene where she's talking and why don't you stick your tongue in a wall
light socket
and you charge.
Right.
You fucking creep. But then after he's all perverted and stuff, it's very monotone. I'm going to kill you.
Yes.
It's so creepy because you're going over the top, and then just a final statement like, I had my fun now. Now I mean business.
Right.
That gives me chills every time I watch it. It does not
very
lose
creepy
effectiveness. And I think that, man, Margot Kidder and Olivia Hussey, and it's a really good Andrea Martin. They all really stand out. They don't have that much to do. They don't have much, character per se.
Sure.
But I think they really, all of them are able to do their job as, the innocent sorority girls. And that's really all this really had to be. They didn't have to be this, that, or the other. I think they really do a good job accomplishing the little things. And that's why I think this movie works. It's the little things. It's that crazy den mother who's drinking all the alcohol around the house, and, the paintings and like, that's Bob Clark humor.
Sure.
Bob Clark had a great sense of humor with Porky's and another famous Christmas movie, A Christmas Story, which is literally shown every Christmas in 24-hour marathons. I love that Bob Clark has that humor in there.
Sure.
But it's never overbearing because the movie is this is a really bleak film.
You're absolutely right. And that's the thing about Bob Clark too. You were saying, those 3 movies, those are classics. I mean, Porky's, to my generation, is you can't even understand. I know that you love that movie and you think it's big. To my generation, Porky's was the comedy. It was the American Pie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know how you feel about American Pie. I like the American Pie movies, but I'm just saying, it was really, that's what everybody wanted to see. They wanted to go see that. And you think about A Christmas Story, they show it on TV for 24 hours every Christmas, or at least they used to. I don't even have cable anymore. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? These 3 movies. And if you're a horror fan, you know about Black Christmas. That's another thing I was going to say too. This movie is very, very underrated outside of the genre fans. This movie should be well known. And I can't tell you, I've probably asked 100 people, who weren't necessarily huge horror fans. Hey, have you ever heard of Black Christmas? Man, it's Christmas time. You got to watch Black Christmas. They're like, what is that? You know what I mean? Which I think it deserves the notoriety of the other 2, I think.
It definitely does. And it's funny to me because, like, you ask anybody what Halloween is, they'll tell you. You ask anybody Nightmare on Elm Street, they'll tell you. This one, I don't know. Like, it's not as mainstream. I don't know why that is, though, because this is, to me, the Christmas horror movie. Like, I know people will argue Silent Night, Deadly Night. I love that movie too.
Yeah, me too.
But this is really the one for me. Like, like when someone says, Ronnie, what's the best Christmas horror movie? I don't look any further than Black Christmas.
Right. Right. Yeah. If you're going to give someone, your choice, that's going to be it. And like you said, I love Silent Night, Deadly Night. I got a poster right up there on the wall. But anyways, yeah, for me, if you're looking to be scared, you're looking for some Christmas nostalgia from when you were a little kid, all those things. This is the movie that you got to watch. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And we were talking about the giallo effect. You had the camera pans to the close-ups of the faces and the light shining, and I thought more about it because I just watched this tonight. I told you I literally just watched it again tonight for the 50th time probably. But man, I couldn't get over it this time, and I don't think I ever really paid that close attention to that before. But tonight I was like, man, Bava or Argento or somebody else could have made this movie. Not that they would have done it as well, but it could, if you didn't know, and nobody knew that it was Bob Clark, they would say, man, that seems like a Bava movie or a Argento movie or something like that, which is really, really surprising because it works as a giallo and it works as a slasher. Not all giallos work as a slasher. You know what I'm saying? So for me, anyways, that's just my opinion. I can definitely pick them out. But this is one, if I didn't know who it was and what it was, I don't know if I would know that it wasn't a giallo movie. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And you would never know it was Bob Clark.
No, hell no.
Bob Clark had made Death Dream before this, which I love. I think Death Dream
great movie.
Really underrated movie.
Yeah.
About the Vietnam veteran. He comes back and then basically is not the same. That's a great movie.
Right.
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, which is a little comical. It's definitely not as serious as the other two movies I mentioned.
Right.
But I think that there's just something about this movie that it's timeless. And like you said, It really does get better every time I watch it. Because the first time I watched it, I thought, all right, that was solid, good movie.
Yeah.
But I think I had been so oversaturated with newer slashers and that up-taste tempo that when you watch a movie that this one is definitely more slow burn, and there's throughout it. It's more slow burn, more methodical, but that's what I appreciate about it. It's really not in your face. The kills are very methodically kind of spaced out, and they all work for different reasons. We have somebody in the comments, a bunch of more people too. My good buddy Nightwatch Zone's in the house. What's going on, my friend? Hope all is well. Dark Mytopia said, I still remember the unicorn scene. My favorite kill in the movie and arguably slasher history, man. Do you want to give me the setup here? Because this is a classic.
Yeah. Well, they did it in both too. My wife and I watched these movies, and as I've told you 1,000 times, she's not a huge slasher movie fan. She's getting to be more, but man, she was like, "Oh, look, it's the unicorn. It's the unicorn." And they tried in 2006. I know I don't want to get too far ahead, but yeah, I love that scene because it's a 2-cut scene.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they're really building the tension. Bob Clark is really building the tension in that scene. And I mean, it just works. It just works. And as much as Margot Kidder in this movie is a bitch, you still didn't want her to die.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And, because, in some of these newer movies, man, I'm like, please kill that son of a bitch. You know what I mean? But in this one, it was one of those situations where, I didn't want her to die. And I thought the way that they built the tension in both of those 2-cut scenes I think it was phenomenal.
I do too. And I think it's just the fact of the innocence of the one shot and then the just total darkness of the other.
Yes.
That's almost the movie in
contrast.
Another. Here you have, I just love the setup. Olivia Hussey answers the door, this beautiful like red wreath of lights next to her and just smiling of the innocent children singing, caroling, all this good stuff. As we see Billy just butter up for that kid with the unicorn horn.
Right.
Margot Kidder sitting there. And what I love best is we don't really see penetration.
Yes.
We see her hands. Bloody, grabbing and like hit the counter and this glass kind of breaks. And I just love what I don't see in that shot. It's what I hear. It's what I feel. It's that fucking, her groans. Oh God, I lost Don. Uh-oh. Somehow lost Don. Oh, I don't know. I lost him. I'll text him. We can see what's going on in the comments here. Definitely root for the killer more nowadays. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that, brother. I don't know what happened.
What happened, buddy?
I have no idea. It just said something went wrong. Sorry about that. I apologize.
All right.
You were going, man. I apologize. My
Oh,
bad.
no worries at all. Everybody, and just everybody in the chat, if you let me know, can you all see and hear Don okay now? Because I see and hear him perfect, but I just want to make sure because it could be my shitty Wi-Fi for all I know. But I hope we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's just that scene and Margot Kidder, and I just, oh man, every time I watch that, I'm like, that's perfection. That's
Yeah.
how it's done, man.
Right.
And you really play with both the good and bad of Christmas, you know. And
Hell yeah.
I just absolutely love that scene. And there's actually some other stuff in this movie that I wanted to run by you.
Okay.
The scenes with Keir Dullea from, of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey. You learn that he and Olivia Hussey were together. Maybe, just maybe, she's pregnant and she wants to have it aborted. What did you think of that stuff? Do you think it added anything, take it away from anything? I don't know how I feel about it, so I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Well, it's funny you asked that because I was talking with my wife about that tonight. And this movie in 1974 was it was really throwing out some pretty serious issues. I'm sure some of the viewers, and you might already know this, but Roe versus Wade was passed in 1973. So this coming out in 1974 with this, it had. I mean, Bob Clark says, "Oh, we didn't do that on purpose," but I have to call bullshit on that because it's just too close. But I think that he was trying to make a point. You know what I'm saying? I think that and regardless of which side of it you're on, let me just put it to you this way: he threw the social justice in there, a little bit of it, but it worked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have any problem with it. It did catch me off guard a couple times. Thinking, oh, that's what he's doing there. But you know what? If you compare it to this new one, man, that it was handled with a little bit of subtlety. You know what I mean? And I guess the issue then is something that we could all quite kind of understand. And I can still understand it. You talk about a woman's right to choose, and however you feel about that, it's however you feel. But now I think we need to deal with something else in our life, and that's the dad's rights. You know what I mean? I think that now, the man doesn't have any rights anymore, and I that's something that, again, regardless of which side you stand on, that's something that maybe I'm sure at some point somebody will put into a movie somehow. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. I thought that it was interesting that she wanted to abort it and he didn't. I thought that was really, because usually it's always the other way around where he's
right.
like, I don't want any part of this. And but I liked that dynamic. She's like, I have my own dreams and I haven't stopped you from doing what you want to do with the piano stuff. And that all goes to hell, and that kind of sets him up as a red herring. But I like the fact that she was the one that was like, listen, this is going to stop my progress in life. I don't want to do this. I thought, even though it's not necessary, it was kind of a dramatic element that I didn't mind in this movie.
I feel the same way.
I thought, and both actors do a really wonderful job playing off each other. I have not seen Keir Dullea in much else other than Space Odyssey.
No, I haven't either.
I thought he was fit well, and you do kind of buy him at points as maybe he is the red herring. Maybe, just maybe he is.
One of the interesting things is this movie took 40 days to shoot, and he was only there for 7. So they had to cut all his stuff in. I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, he, there were times when even when I knew what the outcome of the movie was going to be, I'm like, maybe it is that son of a bitch. You know what I mean? So I thought they did a good job, and I agree with you. I feel the same way. I think it was handled with a subtlety that made it bearable. You know what I'm saying? And I think that one of the reasons that they chose for her to want to get the abortion and him to want to keep the baby was, I believe this is just my opinion, I didn't get this anywhere, but I think it was probably about a woman breaking from a man's control. You know what I mean? Which, again, is it?
Film would tell you that.
Yeah, no shit. But you know what I'm saying, though? I mean, I you can see it, but it was handled with a subtlety that made it easy for me to deal with. Anybody listening, I'll let you know I'm on the conservative side, but I can see where the struggle comes in, and I thought that they handled it very well. It didn't take anything away from me.
I agree. Me neither. It didn't take anything away from me either, and I think that actually it adds a little bit, and it helps him be a red herring because he's like, I don't want you to, killed our child, you know. And I
Right.
always thought that would be a really cool, you know, maybe it was thrown in there for that. Like I don't know, I don't know why either, but I think
Right.
for whatever reason it's like weird because movies like this never really have something that heavy thrown in. But I thought it was well,
Right.
it really was. Another thing with this movie though is just some of the iconic visuals. And to me, the one above your head right there, that's one of my
Yeah.
favorite iconic visuals in the history of the genre. And it's kind of, I don't know why the artwork is not, it looks nothing like the girl in the movie. Um,
Yeah.
I think there's something about that particular actress that it just makes that shot even more iconic. Because to be honest, she has this kind of just like cute innocence to her.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally
Like
agree with
more so
that.
than the rest of them. Like Margot Kidder, she was the fun drunk, and Fellatio,
Right.
the joke with the cops. And
Right. Right.
this girl, though, and even I will say in the '06 film, I felt they picked the right actor. They looked very similar to me. Just
Yeah.
that innocent, wouldn't harm a fly girl, and she's the first to go. It
Right.
almost tells me gloves are off, pal. This nice innocent girl didn't do nothing wrong, didn't break the rules, as old
Right.
Billy and Sue would say.
Right.
She got a plastic bag over her head and put in the attic from the get-go, and her
Yeah.
father's looking for her throughout the film. Thought that was a real just a statement right off the just no, like we are not holding
Yes.
back here, and anybody can go at any point. I
Yeah.
really, really like that opening kill. One of my favorite opening kills and most iconic shots because you do
Oh
see
yeah.
it throughout the film. It's incredible, I think, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, every time I see it, I think bag over the head. That's not a good way to go, dude. I wouldn't want to go that way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and you could see the bag in her mouth because you could tell she was trying to take a breath and all that shit, man. But yeah, I agree with you. Cute, innocent girl blasted her right off the bat, And again, it's kind of that old trope, there's a monster in the closet, and she's walking over to the closet and bam, you know what I'm saying? So, it builds on that old story of, there's something in my closet. And like you said, the innocence, the way that, she looked, I mean, if I can't do this, but you can see, man, that always freaks me out every time I watch it. Like I said, I'm almost 50 years old and it still is a little freaky to me. If I was going to go, I wouldn't choose that way. That's for damn sure.
No, me neither, man. And it's so memorable.
Yes.
Aiden saying, oh, everybody agrees with us, by the way. The shot is breathtaking, says Dark Mytopia. That shot is haunting, says Aiden. I agree, it's a very haunting shot. And yeah, it is. It's a legendary, really, really legendary shot. That's like the one thing I always that sticks with me with Black Christmas. But
Yeah.
we can talk a little bit about the killer. Because it's funny, the next movie, it's so polar opposite than
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But what do you think of the killer? Because it's so much. There's so much that goes into so little.
Yeah.
At this point with this killer, man. I think
I
it's such
agree.
an interesting character. But what do you think of the Billy Killer?
Yeah. It reminds me of, the, again, I'll go back to Giallo, like the old timey, you're not going to find out until the end. And in this case, you don't even really, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you know who he is, but you don't get to see him. I don't know. I love that. I think it adds another aspect to a movie. You know what I mean? There's even something more, like you said. And if you look at the 2006 version, you kind of saw him from the beginning. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I just think it's a generational thing. I think this was the start of the slasher tropes. And I know that everybody thinks it's Bay of Blood or Friday the 13th or Halloween or whatever, but man, I don't know how you can argue this one. Really, I don't see how you can argue that this is the slasher movie that started it all. But and I like the fact that you don't know who he is, and I think that they kind of took that, the filmmakers kind of took that aspect and shoved it into the 80s slashers because it worked so well. Oh, you're not going to know until the end. You know what I mean? And again, it's Giallo and this, and I think they all kind of borrowed from each other back then, 1974. But I like that. I like the ending of this movie. That it's not usually an ending that I would like, but for some reason it works in this film for me. I kind of wish she would have made a part two, but it was 1974. They weren't really doing that at this time or at that time. So, but yeah, I love it. What do you think? I mean, is it something that is a takes away, or is it something that adds for you?
Oh, something that adds completely. And I think that there's a lot of course, everybody always notes this movie for doing the POV stuff before John Carpenter did with Halloween. And like that's one of the big reasons. Even people that will tell you I'm not a fan of it, it's too slow, whatever,
Right.
they respect the fact that it set up those opening those POV shots of the killer
Oh
and
yeah.
breathing and all this stuff. Like that's the thing people respect about this movie. But I do like the fact that you really do have a killer in this that's mentally unstable to the point where there's no way to get a read on
Right.
him. You
Right.
hear stuff with him mentioning an Agnes, but we never who is Agnes, who is Billy, who we don't know any of the backstory,
Right.
and it really I think kind of terrifies me even more because you're like this is just a mentally deranged son of a bitch, but
Yeah.
he's not stupid. He's in the shadows. He's in the house calling them, pranking them the whole time. He's
Yeah.
able to disguise his voice in many different ways from being,
Right.
like we said before, over the top, you know, sexual and raunchy to very serious, just putting
Right.
it down. I love that because it really gives your killer so much of a three-dimensional kind of arc where they can go anywhere and it's not and it will be believable no matter what. And like you were saying, we could touch a bit on the ending. The ending is just phenomenal. It's not much of a chase. Like you do see Olivia Hussey, she gets grabbed and she screams. We don't see Billy. We just hear him scream too. He's screaming because she slams the door in his face, and
Right.
that's oh my god, man! Every fucking time that scares the shit out of me. Like it's just
That
about
one red eye,
big eye,
yeah, you
dude.
know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's freaky as hell.
Yeah,
That's like the stuff of nightmares as a kid, you know what I mean? It
yeah.
really was,
He's
man.
literally the Nightmare Man, and
Yeah, no kidding.
you're like, oh my god! And I love how she's kind of hiding down there. Cure delay. Oh, what's the matter? What's the matter?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh shit! And then you just hear a scream. We didn't met the legendary John Saxon's in this. Who
I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
I know you've met him, which that's always a fun story. Yeah, he's in this. He runs in, and then Keir Dulay's dead. Our lead final girl's in shock, and the movie kind of just ends where maybe Billy's still in the house. And I always love that pan away, and
yeah.
you get that iconic shot again of that girl with the plastic bag, just being like, "Holy shit, man!" Like this has just begun, and that's why I love
Yeah.
Black Christmas. I just think
Yeah, I mean, the ending is really unconventional. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but again, it kind of predated all the slasher tropes. Definitely unconventional. Billy's I guess chasing her around the house, and like you said, he grabs her hair, and then all of a sudden she's in the basement alone, and her boyfriend breaks in. She kills him, and that's the end. You know what I mean? And then she's upstairs. And like you said, that she's upstairs sleeping. I always thought that was funny too. Same house, sleeping. Everybody goes outside. You know what I mean? They didn't check. They didn't check the attic. But you know what? It's something that I don't give a shit about that. And sometimes I'll notice those things, but like I said, it didn't really bother me. It really worked, and I think it could have been set up for not. Bob Clark actually started to make a part two. Did you know that he started to write it?
yeah, before his untimely death in the
Yeah.
car accident, which
And Olivia Hussey was supposed to come back.
yes, I know
Yeah.
it's a shame that didn't get made
Yeah.
because I love Bob Clark and I would.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure everybody knows the story of Carpenter and Bob Clark. You know that, right? I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the
So,
whole,
for everybody who doesn't know, I mean, supposedly John Carpenter picked his brain, and that's how he got the idea, right? Is that what you've heard also?
yeah, I've heard that he was like, oh, I've always wanted to do this with babysitters and call it Halloween, and then John Carpenter's like, yeah, that sounds like not a bad idea, and then that's apparently what happened. I've never heard John Carpenter really talk much. He's pretty much denied that, but I don't know. I guess it sounds believable for sure.
Did you see the interview with Bob Clark where he talked about it?
I've seen it was like a Q&A where he talked about it.
Oh, okay. Well, there's an interview on the Scream Factory. Man, how come I can never remember which way to
It's
go?
so weird. It's always the opposite. I hate it.
On this DVD from Scream Factory, and it's actually an interview, an older interview with him. If anybody, it might be on YouTube or something like that. You might want to check it out. But it's actually him talking to the camera, to an interviewer. So, but again, I don't know how much of that is true and how much of it is just things kind of get embellished as we get older. But I mean, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So.
Either way, the both films are great. That's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
I don't care if
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't affect it. But would have been nice for John to give him a nudge, to say, hey, thanks or something. But I don't know. They're all egomaniacs.
They are. That's true. This is true.
Yeah.
But if you had to rate the original Black Christmas out of 10, I mean, this is a stupid question, but what would you give it?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends on if we're looking at it as like Christmas slasher, it's an 11 out of 10. But if you're just looking at it as just a movie, I mean, I definitely I would say I'd have to give it a 9.5. I can't. I've never given a movie a 10. I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so, unless it was The Thing. But other than that, I
Jaws
don't think.
or Alien?
Oh, damn. Well, all right. But so but listen, that's funny you bring those up because I rank it up there with those.
It's
So
up there. It is.
yeah,
It's
for me.
iconic. Would this be in the top 10 slasher movie list of all time?
This is number one.
This is number one. Wow.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
This would definitely be on my top 10. I don't
Yeah.
know if it would be number one. I don't know what number one movie. There's so many slashers I like.
I know it changes. It changes week to week. But I do. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've watched it recently, but I think this is probably the best. I really do.
I couldn't argue that, man. I'll give it the perfect score. I think 10 out of 10. I love Black Christmas. I think it's an all-time masterpiece. I may even watch it again this Christmas season.
Oh yeah.
It's just one that I never, ever, ever get tired of. I think it's absolute all-time masterpiece. I should upgrade. I may upgrade to the Scream Factory Blue because this Critical Mass one, it's a little grainy at times, but man, no, I'd like to upgrade to the Shout Factory Blue.
Yeah. I know that you can just look behind you, and people probably already know you. They know you well enough to know that you enjoy some humor in your slasher movies, But I think when it comes to serious, I can't imagine that this wouldn't be in anybody's top 10. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking for a serious, because I mean, even starting in the early mid 80s, they started to get campy and funny and because of Freddy and things like that. If you're looking for a serious, they took this movie serious when they made it, for sure.
And that's the thing with, like we were saying with Giallos. There's not much humor in most Giallo films.
No.
Thus, why the tone with this really does feel like that.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crazy. You're right. Like 10 years later, slasher movies weren't like this. It was
Right.
it was like, let's have fun,
Right.
make people laugh. And like, I don't have any problem with that. In fact,
Right.
I love it,
Boobs,
but
blood, and mayhem, right?
fine line. I do think there's a fine line. Like there are some movies where I think go way too far with it, where I'm just like, this might as well have just been a comedy.
Right.
I don't know. That's
Maybe
just
another scary movie. Well, you and I always talk about boobs, blood, and mayhem. You know what I mean? That's kind of what the '80s were all about. And this predated the '80s by 6 years. You know what I mean? So, it had already been done. Maybe that's why they always added a little bit of comedy here and there. So, of course, there was no boobs in this movie.
No.
But but again, the tropes weren't there.
I don't think in any of them, right?
In any of what?
Black Christmas movies, right?
A little bit in 2006
Oh, okay.
when she took the shower. The drunk chick.
And she's my favorite in that movie. Jesus,
Yeah.
I don't know how I forget that. Yeah, she's naked. She's naked in Wrong Turn 2, Final Destination 3. She's the tanning bed chick. Oh,
Thank you.
John K. Crystal Lowe. God bless you, babe. I love it. But I guess that no better way to transition into the next movie. But by the way, Aiden says 9.5 out of 10. Long live Black Christmas. Completely agree with you, brother. Agreed. Black Christmas deserves a ton more respect from the Night Watch Zone. Totally. I think it definitely deserves its day in the sun, like a Halloween, like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and maybe one day it will have that. But for now, I'll sing its praises, man. I have no problem doing so.
Heck yeah.
But man, oh boy, this next movie, it's controversial. It really is. And you know what's funny? On Instagram, there's no other movie that I've realized that there's a cult following for, like, that I already didn't know had one, other than this movie. Because it's crazy the cult following this movie has garnered.
Really?
It is from 2006. It is Glenn Morgan's Black Christmas. And this one, man, I noticed for whatever reason, man, people fucking really like this remake. I've heard some say it's the best horror remake.
Wow. Yeah, I mean,
your thoughts, man. Give me what are your, raw thoughts of Black Christmas 6.
I'll be honest with you. It's funny that people say it's the best remake because I think, I just told my wife this yesterday because we watched it yesterday. I think this is one of my favorites. I really do, because I think it's fun. Um, and you know me, I'm not a remake guy. I'm
You
really
know,
not. But there are a few I like. I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I like this. Even the Friday the 13th remake isn't terrible. I just don't like some of the choices that they made. But I really like this movie a lot because Glenn Morgan just went way over the top with everything. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was a lot of fun. I don't know how you feel about this one. I can venture a guess, but tell me what your thoughts are. Is this a movie that you would watch on the regular?
yeah, it's funny, like because I knew how you felt about the original, and we both knew that, and we both knew how we felt about 2019. This
Right.
was really the kind of area movie. Like, how do we
Right.
feel about it? I watched it on Tuesday night. I've seen it before. I will say that there are parts of this movie that I love and I think are great. Like, for number one, I will say I love the use of color in the film. It's a very colorful. He uses the theme of
Yes.
Christmas and the lights and all that stuff to his advantage. As weird and crazy as the backstory is, it's fucking like crazy. Like, it deals with incest. It deals
Yes.
with flesh cookies. People get stabbed in the eye. A lot of brutality towards eyes in this.
Eyes. Yeah.
Your lead characters are all just like the CW11, just beautiful fucking women in this movie.
Right. Right.
Really does have all of the makings of a great slasher movie. I mean, some good-looking women, a crazy over-the-top killer, uh, gore galore, great style with the Christmas stuff. I think Glenn Morgan does a great job as the director.
Absolutely.
I enjoy the film. I would say for the first like two-thirds of it, I love this movie. I actually really do.
Yeah.
It's towards the latter half, the latter third of it, where I kind of check out. And unfortunately, I actually have read so much into this movie over the past couple of days, and it's a shame what happened. We can get into that stuff later. But honestly, man, I don't think it's a bad watch. I think it's one that I will always watch around Christmas season. Even though initially, which is funny because it's garnered such a cool following since, this was fucking hated, and it had a horrible
Yeah.
opening weekend. Why do you think that was? Do you think it was burnout? Do you think it was where the genre was at the time?
Yeah.
Why did this movie flop and then all of a sudden now is garnering the cult attention?
I think it was burnout at that point. I think that the neo slasher was way on the downside at this point. You know what I mean? You started off with Scream. You had your I Know What You Did Last Summer, your Urban Legends, and man, at this point it was way down. And I think that at that point, you know how it is with the horror genre, and I'm sure everybody over here will kind of agree with this. When something gets so big, it starts to get hated because it's so big. Even with the slasher genre in the 80s, I mean, what did the golden era ended in 84, and we continued on till 89 with slasher movies, and at that point people just, unless you were a huge fan like us, people just shit on them. And I think that was kind of what happened then. I think people, they were tired of all the pretty people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's kind of what happens after a while. But what do you think? Do you think it was burnout? Do you think it was? I don't know. I don't know what else it could have been. I mean, the girls were hot. Morgan was coming off of the X Files. He was huge.
And Willard.
Yeah, yeah. Willard. He was a huge producer and writer or director for the X Files. Did the Willard? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you'd hate him. He didn't do that. He didn't do enough to hate him. I don't know.
It's one of those things where I'm not sure why it flopped either. Maybe because it was released on Christmas Day. Maybe people were just not in the mood to go see a Christmas horror film, because it's eye-opening that there really wasn't a Christmas horror film released after this until like Krampus, which was like 8 years later.
Right.
So this movie really, I think, soured studios on Christmas horror is not drawing. It's not drawing right now for whatever fucking reason, whether it be the Saw train, whether it be the paranormal movies that are on the horizon, which was the following. '07 was Paranormal Activity.
Right.
I don't know why. I think for some reason it was just caught in the middle of that, from one phase to another, because Saw had taken over the world at that point. And I really think people really lumped this in with like Rob Zombie's Halloween. It's similar in its violence, I think.
Right.
That
Right.
movie. Like, it's very fucking violent. I like that personally about this movie. It's actually, it has a charm to it.
Fun, yeah.
Like, it's silly. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, but it's entertaining.
Sure.
I don't know though. I don't know. I will say I'm glad that I think it's cool that the movie has garnered cult attention and status. But I will say I think the reason personally for me is that I think the people that did like this film, that did love this film, like my our good buddy Darren, Darren Burrows, awesome guy.
Yes.
He'll tell you to this day he hates that '06 movie because it's one of those movies that it took everything that this film did and just dialed it up almost too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now we have a backstory for Billy. Now we have over the top gory kills. We have more kills. It's one of those movies that really does turn up the volume to the point where the end, it's just this crazy, almost feels like Halloween 2 in this hospital and gets impaled in a tree. And I don't like the ending of it at all. But I will say that, like, I don't think it's a disgrace to this movie. I think it was just, hey, I respect what this movie did. I want to have a style like this movie, but
Right.
I want to make it my own thing and have fun with it and have a good time at the movies. And at the end of the day, I think that's what this movie is. I think it's just a fun, entertaining movie. It's not this movie. It never will be, and it's not even close.
No.
But I don't think that makes this movie bad on its own 2 feet. Do you?
Right. No. No, I don't. And it's funny you just got me thinking. I'm trying to think of Christmas horror movies that were successful. There isn't a lot of them, and you might be onto something there, John, in the fact that people don't want to see this at Christmas time. They want to see the family movies or the feel good stories and things like that. They really don't want to see these types of movies, and that might be exactly why it wasn't super successful, or why people hated it. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I don't know. That's a really really good point.
Yeah, it could be because I mean, you look at Krampus, it didn't break any box office records. You look at the
Yeah.
2019 Black Christmas, that didn't make any box office records. You look at Silent Night, Deadly Night, it was pulled from the fucking theater. Nightmare on Elm Street swoops in and becomes one of the biggest franchises of all time. It's
Right.
very interesting to see that Silent Night, Deadly Night opened on more screens worldwide than Elm Street did.
Yep.
And then once it was pulled, Elm Street just all of a sudden went from opening at number 2 to opening, going number 1
Yeah.
for a while. And we all know the rest there. It's
Right.
just very interesting to me. I don't know. I don't think Christmas horror really draws with mainstream audiences.
Yeah,
Maybe
I agree.
because it's the turnoff from the mainstream public, and like people being like, I want to watch Home Alone, I want
Right.
to watch a fun, sappy family movie, and there's nothing
Right.
wrong. I love those movies.
Right. Sure.
I love to get my horror on with Christmas.
Right.
You
Hell
know,
yeah.
just for whatever reason though, it just doesn't draw. I don't know. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I wish.
It's a very interesting thing, and I think a lot of people just don't like to think of Christmas as a time like, Silent Night, Deadly Night. It was kind of the Catholic moms that kind of put the kibosh on that movie. You know what I mean? So they made them because they didn't want to see Santa killing people. So I'm sure it has a lot to do with, that vibe everyone has around Christmas. But, you and I both, we kind of get in the mood for horror or slashers, at Christmas time. You know what I mean? Especially, well, yeah, not just slashers, but horror, The Thing, Silent Night, Deadly Night, this, I even liked Krampus. I thought that was kind of a fun movie. I took my family to the theater and saw it. So I don't know. I think that's probably has a lot to do with it. There's probably a lot fewer of us out there than there are of them.
Yeah, it's true. I think it's 100% the case. You're right with that completely. But what do you walk me through some of the things you liked about this movie? Because first thing off the bat, I will say I love the cast, brother.
Yeah,
I love
right.
the cast.
Yeah, the cast is definitely that definitely. Well, I think the cast keeps you going through, the first part of the movie. But I mean, even Oliver Hudson's in this movie. You know what I mean? I don't know. I thought the cast was pretty decent. And, as a matter of fact, Oliver Hudson was probably a bigger name than anybody who was in a slasher movie back in the early '80s. You know what I mean? Actually, all them girls were Trachtenberg. What was the other brunette's name?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who would
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who's
Final Destination 3, and
she's kind of big now.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
she's still, she did what, Old Boy? She did, remember Sky High, and didn't she do all those
Sky
movies?
High is a classic.
Yeah, the Thing remake or whatever you want to call that
Yeah, the prequel.
silliness.
Gemini
But
Man, Cloverfield. She's done a ton of movies. She's kind
Lacey Chabert, is who I was thinking.
of ooh,
Yeah,
love-
yeah, right. But yeah, man, I like this movie. I thought, I'm not big on backstory. You know how I feel about Rob Zombie's movies. I didn't need it. but it also didn't. I didn't hate it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I was turning it off because of the backstory, and it's not usually my thing. But and I really think that like we just said, I know it's kind of sad and whatever, but the cast kind of gets you through that to that point. And he did Glenn Morgan did a good job. It was kind of the same characters. You had the drunk girl, and so I mean, I don't know, man. I thought I'm with you about the gore. It reminds me of Italian movies where he's pulling eyes out and all that kind of shit. So I like the movie, man. I don't really have a good reason though. Does that make any sense? You know what I mean? Like I said, the cast, the kills. I don't know. It's just fun. It's definitely not on my top 200 horror movies of all time, but it's a good time waster. You know what I mean? Sometimes I pop a movie in thinking, oh, I'll just waste a couple hours here to watch this movie, and I just can't do it, man. And again, we're going to talk about one of those here in a little bit. It took me a couple sittings to get through it, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was gory. They weren't shoving stuff down your throat that I'm not looking for in my horror movies. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I liked it. I don't know how. Like I said, I don't really have one specific reason why I liked it, but I just enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a fun watch.
Yeah, it is. It really. I don't think it's trying to do that much, and it's
Yeah.
like you said, it's very fucking quick. It's
Yeah.
before credits. It's not. It's like barely 80 minutes.
Yeah.
If like it's very quick movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I read a lot about they couldn't figure out the ending that they wanted to do. They shot a ton of alternate endings. I think somebody mentioned that in the comments.
Yeah, somebody said that.
Really, I've lost. There's been so many comments. I can go back in a little bit, but I think that for me personally, like why I think this movie is enjoyable at times, like I said, the style, the good-looking women,
Right.
and just the overall just pace is a good pace. It starts right off. You meet our bitchy characters. There's some good-looking characters. You get our crazy-ass backstory that's literally like a third of the film. Then
Right.
they're getting picked off one by one, and then you get this crazy finale, which I'm not the biggest on. But again, it's just bang, bang, boom, and you're done. It's not really trying to be as grand as this. It's just kind of saying, hey, I want to use the Christmas theme to my advantage. I want to be, in and out, quick slasher movie. And I think that's the reason why this movie has really garnered the cult following, because it's the exact opposite of a slow burn like this movie. The people that love the '06 movie, I think generally aren't the biggest on this. Like they respect it, they like it.
Sure.
But it's very rare that, like, because I know my good buddy Elm Street Warrior on Instagram, I know Ryan, they both like that remake better than the original film, and they said it's purely just because it's more entertaining.
Yeah.
And I can see that. I don't agree, but I totally can see how you could say that. It's quick, and I don't know. I think there's definitely some things about the '06 film that I do enjoy. And somebody was mentioning it looks like an Argento film with the colors.
Yeah.
Totally.
For sure.
Totally feels like an Argento film.
Yeah, it was Dark Mytopia who said it had 3 alternate endings, which that's a pretty interesting story too. One of the things I kind of lost my train of thought. One of the things that is interesting about this movie is that it turned into the remake of House of Wax at the end.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, man, with the long, I mean, that didn't even look like a woman.
It actually was a man in drag too. The Agnes. I don't like that stuff.
That's all weird. Yeah, I don't know. The ending definitely could have been better. But the first 2/3 of the movie was worth a watch.
Yes.
Even though the ending was kind of silly and stupid, and the whole jaundice thing and all that shit. Again, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but yeah, I thought the first 2/3 made up for the end. And I believe me, I've seen worse. You've definitely seen worse endings. But like I said, it's not going to win any awards. It's not going to be on any top 100 lists probably. There may be a few gore scenes that might be on a list, but I just think that the movie was fun. Girls were good looking, and the gore was pretty up there. That reminds me. Have you seen the movie Unhinged?
I have not.
with Russell Crowe. Man, that is one gory motherfucking movie, dude. You got to check it out if you're into gore. Check that movie out. And anyways, but yeah, if you're into gore, I'm into gore sometimes, not always. You know, I mean, look at Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas. You know, it wasn't super gory or anything. Hardly ever saw anything, but I don't know. It kind of touched two nerves for me. You know, the 2006 touched one nerve, and the 74 touched a totally different nerve. You know.
Yeah, I think they work for completely different reasons. Like one is a slow burn, gradual, just absolute masterpiece of a movie. The
Yeah.
other one is just kind of a fun, sleazy slasher. And
Right. Right.
it really
Yeah.
is. I think that's why though that the certain people that love the original hate the '06, and I think that's why the people that love the '06
Right.
aren't big on the original. It's not the same. They're such polar opposites, but that's what I like about it. I like that they're not the same exact movie, because it wouldn't work. If you tried to do the serious tone that Bob Clark did, I don't think it would work. I like that you made it colorful and you used the holiday to your advantage, and you just went batshit really over the top with everything else. Really
took some acid and wrote a script.
Yeah. What you said too, this is not a movie that's going to win any awards. I think why people like it, it's not trying to. It's not anyway trying to be like, we are holier than now and we're trying to say something. It's not. And I think it's just an entertaining time. Like Neon Black Reviews saying, sometimes, there's no real reason. Sometimes it just be like that. 100%, man. Yeah, sometimes movies just make you a fan. Yeah, for real. Like, it's just, that's the magic of film. Completely, man.
Joyride.
Yeah, I know. I do love Joyride. I think Joyride's fucking great.
Yeah, me too, man. I love it.
We did a fun commentary on that for anybody who hasn't seen. Me and Don, we did a live commentary on that a few months back. That was a really, really fun time.
That was a fucking blast, dude. Yeah. We need to do stuff like that more often. That's good.
Dude, I'm always down. Maybe we'll do a commentary for Candyman. Next week I'm doing commentary for Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Yeah, I was just gonna say. Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, it's unfortunate. One more thing I would like to touch on about this movie, though. The Weinsteins apparently really dabbled in the finale. That's why the movie really kind of feels like it's a tacked-on ending in the hospital.
Really?
And Glenn Morgan himself has said that he sees the movie as a disgrace. He's not a fan of the film. And it's because of what the Weinsteins did to him. Of course, now the Weinsteins, it's, of Harvey, of course, everybody knows. We don't have to go down that road. We all know. But it's a shame that a lot of the times the Weinsteins and other studios, I know Sony is huge on this, dabbling into films, studios just interfering with the director and their vision. Apparently, this is what Glenn Morgan has said. He didn't want it to be over the top. He didn't want it to be uber gory, and he thinks the ending is like a disgrace. He really wanted to make it more subtle. And in some ways, I don't mind the backstory, which is apparently what the Weinsteins came up with. They want an over-the-top backstory. But I think it really hurts it towards the end. I think the confrontation with Agnes and the fire and that kind of battle between Kristen Cloak and I forget the other actress's name. She's in Final Destination. I can't think of her damn name. But the two of them battling Billy and Agnes, that whole thing, it feels so like somebody else's movie.
It does.
And that's what hurts it. And my heart goes out to Glenn Morgan because that wasn't his vision. That wasn't what he was trying to do. And the first 2/3, I think, is exactly what he was trying to do. Right. So it's one of those movies where I look at it as I can't really be so hard on it because I don't know how much of that was the director's overall decision. You know what I mean? Like it was something that he had seen. And then they were like, well, we're cutting this ending out. We don't like this ending. And that for me, he never directed a feature-length film again. This ended his feature-length directorial.
Wow. Did he go back to TV?
He's directed, I think, a couple of the new Twilight Zone episodes.
Oh, okay.
But he himself said in an interview, if this movie isn't a box office success, I'm never going to direct a mainstream movie again. Like they will absolutely kill my name, the Weinstein. Wow. That's what they did. He never ever directed again, sadly, which is, I hope he does. I hope he comes back and does something because I like the Willard remake. I don't mind this movie.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Like to me, it's the saddest thing about this movie is Glenn Morgan's legacy kind of buried 6 feet under, Like
well, I mean, he could have had a huge, he could have had a huge career especially in the horror genre. You know what I mean? And they kind of blew it. But that's kind of what they do. That's kind of their mo. You know what I mean? Don't do for us, and we'll ruin your career. So no surprise there, unfortunately. But who knew back then? You know, he didn't know what he was getting himself into. I'm sure. Can't
Yeah,
really blame him.
saying, "Hey, I want to make a remake to a film that I love, and
Right?
I have all these great ideas." And I think he did. I think he had a wonderful cast. You know, and as good looking as they are, they're all good actresses too.
Yeah.
Like, all of them. I
Yeah.
like. I don't think there's. And I love they brought back Andrea Martin. I always thought that was cool. You
Yes.
know,
Very cool. Very
Jordan
cool.
Park makes an appearance.
Yep.
You can see
Homage.
that there's a filmmaker that had passion and loves the original film here. I just think that it's one of those like classic examples of a movie that the studio really fucking kind of dabbled in a little too much, and
Yeah.
that's it's sad because it leaves like every time I watch it, I like the first 2/3 and then sour taste at the end. I'm like,
Right. Right.
God,
Well,
damn Weinstein's.
my philosophy is leave horror alone. We'll let you know. You know what I'm saying? The fans will let you know. You know whether or not that you did a good job, and so that's why I think studios need to leave horror alone. That's why horror movies are most of the time, maybe not today, but we're most of the time independent. You know what I mean? Because they told them, hey, go do your thing and show your vision, and those are the fucking classics. The fucking My Bloody Valentines and even the Friday the 13th and Halloweens and things like that. Those are the ones that are the best where nobody's fucking with their vision. You know what I mean? And now what you think about this, and they really ruined. I don't want to say ruined, because I still really enjoy the movie, but it could have been better.
Yeah,
If it would have been his vision. So,
exactly. I agree with you. If you had to rate this one out of 10, my friend, what would you give it?
oh man, I mean, I give it a solid 6. You know what I mean? I think my philosophy is if you're out of 10, anything 5.5 and above, I'll watch it. You know what I mean? And if it's way lower, I'll watch it too, just to have a good time with it. But you know what I mean? I think it's a solid 6. I wouldn't give it any higher, but I definitely wouldn't give it any lower. What about you?
I would come in with the same exact rating. I would
Yeah.
give it a 6 out of 10. I think it does some things right. I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. I like the cast. I like the gore. I think it's a stylish movie.
Yes.
It always that ending, man. I hate the last like 20 minutes of it. It fucking falls apart. Like it really
Yeah.
does. I
I
don't
agree.
fault the director at all. Ryan says 9.5
Rye Sny.
for me, brother. Yeah, I know Ryan. This is like his favorite Christmas horror movie, so I do know that Ryan loves this one.
Nice.
I'm sure he would agree with the reasons I made because I know that he's not huge on the original film. It's more of a
Yeah.
respect thing.
I didn't know he had that kind of love for this movie.
Yeah, no,
Interesting.
Ryan's big on the '06 Black Christmas. I know him and Elm Street Warrior. They both will tell you it's like one of the best, if not the best, remakes out there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Perfect time of year for you then, Rye.
yes, the most wonderful time of the year. So yeah, both of us gonna come in the same exact rating for 6 out of 10. And now the real game begins. Oh yes, it is.
I got my notes.
House. Oh,
Got-
jeez, goddamn.
I got my notes ready.
I lost all the brain cells I ever had last night watching it. They're somewhere else. This was Needgore's request. I never wanted to put us through this movie. I swear to you, this was not my call. This was Needgore saying, Grande, please review fucking Black Christmas 2019. So I said, okay. This is Sophia Takal's Black Christmas 2019. Holy
Yeah.
shit, man.
Yeah. So tell me, how do you feel about Blumhouse after them allowing this movie to be made?
I fucking can't stand him. I don't
I can't either.
unfriended. Holy
Yeah.
shit. Some stupid fat kid sticking his hand in a blender. I'm possessed on a webcam. Oh my god, man, that movie.
Yeah.
Blumhouse stinks.
Yeah. This it was rough. And as much as they're promoting the genre, I think they're doing a lot of damage to the genre. That's just my personal opinion. I think that with this movie, they really, really fucking jumped the shark with this thing. I can't tell you. I told you, when it first came out on video, I told you I got through about 15 minutes and I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, what, 3 minutes and 29 seconds in? 3 minutes and 29 seconds in, one girl was giving another girl the gift of a dildo because she, quote unquote, didn't need a man. You know, I mean, come on, man. You know, that's just a little too much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was like right off the bat. You know what I mean? So, you know, and listen, I don't know anybody personally who ever tells a woman they need a man. Never, never. As a matter of fact, I've told people before, and I've heard people tell people, you need a good woman. But I've never ever heard somebody go, "You need a good man," ever. So that was a huge turnoff for me right there. You know, I don't know. I think it set the tone. You know, kind of like you were talking about with the first kill in the original. That in itself set the tone for me. I was like, this is not going to be easy for me to get through, and it wasn't. And it wasn't. I don't know. It was rough. It was rough. What about you, man? I mean, did you notice those things, or did it kind of just? I mean,
Oh,
listen, I think I know the answer, but but
I can't not notice it. It's
yeah,
90 minutes or however long the shitty movie. I didn't bear to count
right.
because it was however many minutes too many. It's so in your face. There's
Hmm.
no subtlety in this movie at all. This is the literal definition of a movie that beats you over the head with its point, message, whatever,
Right.
and literally beats you till you fucking tap out or submit.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually that fucking in your face.
I think John too that it's the polar opposite of the original. The original had some messages, had some social commentary, but it handled it with a subtlety that I feel is when you're making movies. I think it's necessary. But in today's day and age, it's the opposite. You know, they want to hammer you with all these messages. You know, boom, 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 one right after the other. And back then they handled those things, but they handled them with such subtlety that you know even the most staunch person who disagrees can still get through the movie because you know it's subtle. You know what I'm saying? And you know those are the things that make you go back and maybe think about the point that they're trying to make. With this, it turned me off immediately. It turned my mind off immediately. And I'm sure you felt the same way.
It's funny because people, you know, if there are people that like this movie, there'll be a lot of people who go, "Oh, well, you know, you just don't like feminism films." Bullshit. There's
It's
so
such
many
garbage.
feminist films I love. I
Right.
love I Spit in Your Grave. I love
Right.
They Call Her One Eye. There's so many
Yeah.
good fucking feminist films out there. I
Miss 45. Yeah. I mean,
totally, man.
even the early slasher films, if you look at Halloween and Friday the 13th, those movies can be considered feminist films. You know what I mean? At the end, you know what I mean? I don't
Sure, it's
know, man.
a big, strong jock that survives. It's
Right.
fucking, you know, 90-pound blonde girl with a fucking rake looking good and kicking ass, taking names like only
Right.
Danny Steele could. Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
that's just like my problem. Like a lot of these interviews too. I've watched interviews with this director, Sophia Takal, I don't care. She's saying, "Oh, you know, it's so refreshing to see a woman come and direct to the director's chair and have a woman as the lead." I'm like, yo, how many great female leads in the horror genre can you name? Ellen Ripley, as you know, Sigourney Weaver, and Jamie Lee, and Amy Steele, and you know,
Adrian King. Yeah.
Heather Langenkamp, uh,
Right.
Kelly Maroney, and like so many great scream queens. And like you're just making the point out that like, oh well, the genre is sexist, the genre is against women. No, it's
Right.
not. It's I think if anything, it's pro, and
Yeah.
like that's why I don't like this movie. It's just one of those like it's constantly just beating into your head that men are horrible, and
Yeah.
like I like
That's hard for me.
trust
Yeah.
me, there are some movies where the men are horrible and they get their comeuppance and I
Sure.
smile and I'm like, yeah,
Right.
this
Absolutely.
is like just a different level though. It's too much. It really is too much. There's a scene where I'm sure you probably that's one of the notes. They have this thing where it's a parody of Mean Girls, right? The four characters, they dress in slutty Santa suits. With if you're a fucking feminist, why are you dressing in a slutty Santa suit, waving around a fucking candy cane on the screen?
Right. Right.
That's just point A. Here's
Right.
point D. All right, they're singing about rape and
Right.
how all men are fucking
Yes.
rapists. All of them.
Yep.
All of
Oh
them.
yeah.
Every
Yeah.
person with a penis has raped somebody. That's what they're singing. And there's an uproar, and these fucking bitches can't believe that there's an uproar. Well,
Right.
maybe you just called everybody a fucking rapist.
Right.
Oh, you went around a candy cane in a fucking Santa suit, and then you ran out the door, and you wonder why people making fun of you on YouTube? Fucking wondering? I can fucking
Right.
tell you why.
Right. Right.
Shove that candy cane
Give
up
me
your ass.
give me 10 seconds, I'll explain it. Yeah.
Oh God.
And I think too, one of the things, you know what, John, it it may have worked. And I'm gonna say may have worked for some people, but god damn it, if I didn't hate all these bitches, I
Oh,
hated
wow.
every one of them. Every one of them. I mean,
Oh, petition. Will you sign my petition? Our
yeah,
producer is a racist and
yeah.
he's sexist and he only teaches. I'm like, bitch, get your fucking petition out of my face.
What? Why would Carrie Elwes? Is that who that was? Carrie? Why would he do
Yeah,
this movie? Why
I
would he
don't
even do
know.
this?
Paycheck? I
Yeah.
hope.
Well, one of the things I wrote down, which I thought I was pretty clever, was in this movie, beta equals beta.
Oh,
You know what I'm
Jesus.
saying? You know what I mean? Come on, man. Come on. I mean, listen, you can be a good guy in these movies and not be a beta. It's possible. A beta male. Everybody knows what that means, right? You know what that means, right? They're whiny and they're just pussies. And I don't know. I mean, I'm older. So I come from a different generation. But I don't know any women who like soft, weak men. You know what I mean? Now I'm sure there are some, don't get me wrong, and that's fine. I don't have a but I'm just saying that it doesn't equal better. You know what I'm saying? Like in this movie, what they would have considered alphas, and I know that's probably the whole thing. They don't even like the term alpha. Are the fraternity guys, and they're the ones who are doing all.
Yeah, they're the villains.
Yeah. I don't know because I don't consider myself a beta, but I consider myself a pretty cool guy. I can get along with everybody. I don't cause problems. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of, to me, watching this movie was a kick in the nuts. That's the best way to put it.
It is. It's a kick in the nuts to anybody who fucking ever had a pair of nuts.
Right.
Whether you're bad, whether you're ugly. It doesn't. There's literally no discrimination. It is very blunt
Right.
that all men suck in this
Yeah.
movie, this universe, whatever. I think there's some, and it's just wild. There's a scene where you have our four lead girls. One of them has a boyfriend. He seems like a nice guy. He was with them. He's cheering them on when they do the whole fucking what have you on the stage, which I nearly had a brain aneurysm in here. And he's like, guys, like, why didn't you expect them to fucking freak out? Like you just went on a stage, did a musical number, basically calling them all fucking horrible.
Right.
Expected them to just take it, and then the bitch with the petition, she fucking makes him out to, you're the problem, and he did not just
It's
not
immediate.
me. They kick him out of the fucking house, and I'm like, wait a minute, he didn't say anything out of line. He didn't
Right.
call anybody any names. All he fucking said was, listen, you were gonna get a reaction to this. You wanted a reaction to this, did you not? Oh
Right.
well, fuck them. No, fuck you.
You're right. Right.
What the fuck? And
Right.
then he comes back in and he's
Yeah.
all macho man, right? Now he's all macho man. I need to protect my lady. The acting is literally that bad.
Yes.
I need to protect my woman. He gets an arrow to the head. I'm like,
Right.
the good guy was in over his head and an idiot and made out to be the fucking asshole when all he was fucking doing was saying, hey, you made your own bed. Now you need to lie in it. And
Right.
he, asshole? Like, what?
Right.
I'm
What
like,
world is this?
I
Yeah.
don't, apparently, man, it's
Yeah.
the world we're in right now. And
It's
that's
yeah.
out of me.
It seemed to me like every action or line in this movie was intended to send some type of message.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, literally every line. And for the people watching who haven't seen it, you'll see it. You'll see exactly. Even if, again, no matter what side of this you stand on, you know what I mean. Like I said, my wife watched it with me, and she was flabbergasted. She was absolutely beside herself. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I don't know. I'm just not sure how. These type of movies, I just don't get the demographic, man. I really don't. I mean, I understand that you want, 80 slashers where the demographic was young men, and maybe you're looking to push that demographic for a horror movie to young women. But what you can't do is, for money reasons, even if nothing else, is you can't alienate the people that the movies were originally the demographic of.
Ding, ding, ding. 100%. And like, here's my thing. If you are a woman that is on the side of this, or a man that's on the side of this, whatever, I'm sure there are.
Sure.
Here's my thing. If your message is, intended towards men and how horrible we are, wouldn't you want me to see the movie and sit in the theater and go, they have a point there. Maybe I can do better. Maybe I can do better and improve myself and all this stuff. That's, to me, your audience. You should, if that's your message, why are you telling it to the people that already feel this way? Tell it to people that can make a change for themselves. Don't fucking alienate me just because I am evil. Like, I think it's just kind of wild, and it's almost hypocritical. I don't know, man. It's just
it's maddening to try to figure out what the thought process was. You know what I'm saying? In a movie like this.
Yeah.
Actually, Night Watch said he's taken off. So
yeah, I was talking
to see you.
On Night Zone Watch. You are or Night Watch Zone. My bad, dude. He's the man. He's been streaming all the Romero zombie films.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man, it's a lot of fun, man. He's
even Survival.
Oh, I don't know. Which was a lot of fun.
That's another episode. Yeah, but yeah, this movie was it was a tough watch for both of us, and it really kind of gets me down to think that this is where the genre's headed. You know what I mean? Because you can see it working its way to this, and everything's and I don't have a problem with a message, but I have a problem with being beat over the head, like you said, with a message. And it makes me nervous to think that all of my my favorites are maybe going this way, and at some point we're going to have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre where Leatherface, I don't know, only kills men over 6 foot tall because that's too tall. I don't, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. I just don't know where it's headed.
I don't know where it's headed either. And like the thing with me is too, like from a horror, even just taking out of all the bullshit this movie has to say, from a horror fan perspective, there's no fucking blood in this movie.
No.
Only blood in this movie is this black goo that comes out of a statue bust. And apparently, what I've read into this, the director, Sophia Takal, she says that blood, that black ooze, symbolizes toxic masculinity in men and how it makes us all true monsters. That's the fucking black goo. That is the symbolism of the black goo. Okay? That's why there's no gore in the beginning when a girl gets killed with an ice pick. There's no fucking gore when there's this girl who, oh my God, this scene, this was, I about fucking ran through a wall. It's 3 girls, 3 of our 4 lead girls. The other one's so unmemorable. The prettiest girl in this movie, right? She's got shot with an arrow in the leg. So she stands, the killer's standing there, no weapons. The killer's just standing there, no weapons. They have an axe. There's 3 of them. The guy's standing right in front of them, armless. They send her in on one fucking leg. Take this guy. Bull rush him. You have an axe.
Right.
What the fuck are you doing? Oh,
right.
And fucking Gimpy fucking Jane to fucking fight the killer with an axe. And then the killer takes the axe from her because she's on one fucking leg, kills her, and then the other 2 are going, oh God, and then they run away. You didn't die in a heroic way. It bought you 10 seconds. Number 2, shitty fucking friends that didn't fucking bull rush. If that was my friend and he was on one leg,
right,
leg, I would Goldberg spear that son of a bitch.
Right.
He didn't have a weapon.
Yeah.
Made
no sense. Made no sense. Well, that's another thing too about the end of this movie is it turned into fucking Kick-Ass. You know what I mean? They wouldn't fight. They wouldn't fight one guy, all 3 of them, but they'll fight 20 guys, all 3 of them, and I don't know. Not that
Miss Feminist herself, she's, we need to go to the cops. We can't do this. Right. I'm like, bitch, the entire fucking movie you were talking all this shit.
All badass.
Oh, they'll take care of it. What? Yeah, right. And then she goes up, you mess with the wrong sisters. I'm like, how the fuck in the last 10 minutes did you change from we need to go to the cops to I have a bow and arrow, and now all of a sudden I'm a fucking archery expert.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, that made that in itself made this movie it seemed like a parody to me. You know what I mean? Instead of a real right on
This is something
remake.
that a Scary Movie 6 would do. Like having fucking
Right.
sorority, a statue that bleeds black ooze that symbolizes toxic masculinity. This is something you would see in a fucking parody and go, "Oh man, wasn't that a riot?" This is a serious fucking film,
Right.
and they do that. There's so many things wrong with this. I know you're a fan of Exorcist 3. At least I think you are.
Oh yeah.
They steal the jump scare,
I
the
know.
legendary jump scare from Exorcist 3.
Yeah. I know, right? Theft. That you I mean you couldn't come up with your well, that's another thing too, is how in the world does this movie have the title Black Christmas? I just don't understand. I just don't understand. I don't understand any of these remakes, but at least most of them anyway. But yeah, I don't understand. There's absolutely no ties, none whatsoever, other than the fact that they're on a campus and it's Christmas time.
Yeah, it's
That's really it.
I don't know, man. Like okay, on one aspect, I guess it would be nice that they go away from Billy, right? Like let's say, okay, we've done 2 movies with Billy. Let's try something else. I don't even on paper, I don't mind the idea of it's the entire, it's not just one killer, it's the sorority and
Oh, I don't.
not a bad,
Yeah,
but it's just so drowned in their message that and killed by its message that it has no life. There's no
right.
life to the villains in this. They're not fun. And there's also, oh my God, and I'm sure you probably wrote this down too. The one woman who goes with the men, that scene.
Oh God.
Oh my God, please walk us through that.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was running in circles. It was so bad.
Yeah. So they were using this other girl to get to these girls, and and they told and this reminds me of kind of what like what's going on with between Democrats and Republicans. They use this girl to get to these other girls, and then just out of the blue they just toast her. I mean, I don't know, man. It just made absolutely no sense. The character was unmemorable. Also, you know what I'm saying? She was, I don't know, man. It was such a clusterfuck, dude.
Yeah,
That it all runs together anymore.
it does.
Now I've only watched it once, but it still
John,
all runs together.
women that we have to accept our place and we are still needed, but we need to be behind them. And like she just keeps, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, what? Like, what?
Well, yeah, that's the mentality. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into a political debate, but that's the mentality. That's the mentality today, right? It's like I don't really understand those people, but they feel this way, so I should back them up. And I think that's kind of what that was mirroring. You know what I mean? It was mirroring that message. Even if you don't agree with the message, I'm going to back it up because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. You know what I mean? That
The whole thing where there will be women that will, like your wife, you said your wife was flabbergasted. I think that's in a lot of ways trying to say, that's the people that are flabbergasted by this and aren't behind their own kind. It's almost like the
right,
where, why would a slug vote for salt, if you will? Like,
right,
don't
right,
mix in the eyes of people.
right.
Like that's what I kind of see it as. It's like almost her saying, "Look at this turncoat." Like, but it's just so poorly done. Like,
Right. Yeah, there's no reason, no rhyme, nothing, nothing to it. And this movie was a shallow movie, right? They had one point, and they didn't really care whether there was any depth to that point or not. You know what I mean? This movie is a thin line all the way across of 2-inch deep water. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the way I look at it. It's like I don't know. It's kind of like slapstick comedy. You know what I mean? I enjoy slapstick comedy, but damn, after a couple minutes, it gets old. You know what I mean? I'm gonna need some more. And this movie just didn't have that. Didn't have any resemblance to depth to it at all.
it didn't, and it really doesn't fit with you were saying Black Christmas.
No.
Look at this. I mean, we went from an all-time masterpiece in the '74 film. We talked about it. Love, we both love that film. The '06 remake, which has its merits, it has over the top gore, it has some good looking women, it's fast paced. This movie is the complete opposite of both of those movies. Like whatever the things those two movies get right, respectively,
Right.
this movie gets wrong.
Yeah.
It's fucking boring. It's not fast paced. The
No.
characters, instead of all being, good looking and or likable, they're all fucking unlikable. The
Right.
the gore that's so prevalent in the '06 film, the style, gone in this movie. The scares, like in the original film, gone in this.
Gone.
I don't think I could give it one fucking positive. I really don't. Like
I, I I will say this. I will say this. The initial scene with the girl on the phone, I thought that if the movie could have kept that tone, you know what I mean, without all the extemporaneous stuff, I thought that could be a movie I could get behind, because I thought that initial scene where the girl was talking on her phone, the guy was following behind her, and she thought he was following her. You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about, right? At the very beginning of the movie, I thought that actually wasn't too bad. But god damn it, that scene lasted 2 minutes, and at 2 minutes and 1 second, they were telling us how shitty men were. You know what I mean? So it lost immediately. But I did think, I thought, oh, this might not be too bad when I first started watching it, but that didn't last very long, and this is why I get confused about what Blumhouse was thinking, because what you're doing in this situation is, see, Blumhouse thinks that they're ingratiating themselves to a certain demographic, when in turn what they're doing is the other demographic that really is their demographic, you're turning off. You know what I mean? So what they attempted to do in this situation didn't work. Whether or not that I like their movies in general is a different story, because they're still going for that demographic of young men, and girls too. But I mean, I think we all will agree that the vast majority of these type of movies fans are men or boys. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it could cost them in the long run.
Yes, and what the thing was, I've watched a lot of female YouTube reviewers on here, and they fucking hated the film.
Yeah.
So if that was your demographic, you failed.
You blew it.
People will say, you blew it. People will say, it wasn't made for you.
Right.
Why? If it wasn't made, I disagree, because you're bashing me, and if
Right.
you want anybody to learn anything, it was made for me.
Right.
But that's fine. That's a fair point. Even fucking women who you made this for hated it. The Queens of All Things Horror, I love them. They're a great Instagram page. They have a YouTube channel on here. They fucking tore it to shreds. Yeah. They said, if you want to go to the movies and enjoy a fun fucking Christmas horror film, like the '06 movie, like the '74 movie, and what you gave us was like a 90-minute session of like CNN or Fox or fucking political what have you.
Right.
And like, that's not what people want to see when they go to the movies. Like, it's like, if you want to talk about that stuff, they have channels for that stuff. It's fine. It's cool. But like, stay out of the horror business. And I'm not saying, again, people will be like, oh, well, George Romero had a lot of social commentary in his films. You love those movies. Difference is, again, you weren't being beaten over the head with it. And again, it was entertaining. Even though Romero had those things in there, we still have fun when Ken Foree and David Emge are shooting golf balls in the mall, and hoops and shooting ducks with the that virtual arcade thing. Right. The movies never lose their entertainment value on their own two legs. This movie is a prime example of where the message is just so much over than what the movie is. Like, you remember the message more so than any memorability or likability in the film.
Also, don't you think that Romero can bash capitalism and still keep the fans?
Yes.
But when you're bashing a gender as a whole, that's your profits are probably going to go down the tube. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You can get away with one, but you can't really get away with the other one. It doesn't really work that way. You know what I mean?
No.
Regardless of whether or not you feel that was your demographic or not.
100%. Yeah. I agree with you completely. And here's the one thing we could totally talk about with Blumhouse. And I've heard people say this, and I don't know if I agree with it or not. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I've heard people compare him to Roger Corman. How Roger Corman liked to make, lower budget, cheap films, all this stuff that really, at the end of the day, and I love Roger Corman, you know, is Piranha really a groundbreaking movie? No. There's a lot of Roger Corman movies, and there are times where he would elongate the credits and stuff. There's a ton of, and I love,
Sure.
But do you think in retrospect, is there a difference? Is there something that Roger Corman did better as opposed to a Blumhouse?
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna put it to you like this: Roger Corman and Lloyd Kaufman both had one thing that Blumhouse is lacking totally: heart. There was heart. Blumhouse, and they're all out for the dollar. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But Troma, who I'm not a huge fan of, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. And New World or whatever, Roger Corman Pictures, they had heart. It's these new companies are lacking. They have the love of horror in spades, I'm sure. The Eli Roths, the Rob Zombies, the Blumhouse, the Platinum Dunes, they have a love for horror, but they're missing heart. Heart is a big thing for me. It's what got me into horror in the first place. It's what kept me in horror. I'll just say it that way. Stu Gordon, guys like that, they had something in their movies that kept me coming back. I mean, even Wes Craven, for that matter. I know horror isn't necessarily what he wanted to do. I know he wanted to do other things, but there was a heart in what they did, and I just don't find that in the Blumhouse movies. I mean, to me, it's that simple.
I think you make a fine point and a fine speech. I agree with you completely. And maybe honestly, I didn't think about it that way, but I think you make a very good point. That is what it is. I think that it's weird, and you're right. It always comes down to the almighty dollar with all those guys. Lloyd Kaufman would tell you himself,
right?
He wants to make money. That's
right.
what Kaufman wants to do, and he's a character in and of himself. But you're right. Like there's something about a movie like Mother's Day or Blood-Sucking Freaks, those early Troma films.
Sure.
That while they're absurd and over the top, and probably most would say they're poorly made, they're technically unsound. There's that heart and that wink, that whole kind of thing there.
Right.
That I think, again, you're right. It does kind of take them over the top of a Blumhouse. Even some Blumhouse films that I haven't minded, like Ma. I don't know if you saw Ma with Octavia Spencer.
Not bad.
I thought, okay, here's a movie that's open to everybody. It's like a group of kids, high school kids. They're hanging out with this lady, and it's the horrors of her feeling alone, and that she never had that, and she kind of goes a bit wacky. I liked that. I thought there was, like you said, that resemblance of maybe they did have heart at that one time, but maybe they've outgrown it. You know what I mean? Maybe it's one of those things where when they hit a certain age or a certain point or a certain movie, it's not about the heart anymore. It's about how can we hand over fist this quickly enough, and then they turn out a product as poorly as this. And what people don't realize about this movie, Black Christmas 2019, pre-production, Don, started in June of 2019.
Okay.
Was filmed, post-production, all that stuff, and released early December of 2019. That's less than half of a year.
That's crazy.
All this stuff together. That's absolutely fucking insane.
Wow.
And you can see why you get the end result that you do here because of knowing that back stuff. Like that's, oh man, it's, you can't tell me there's heart in that. And I think you make a great point. Aiden said he agrees 100%. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right, man. I mean, from initial shooting, actually, pre-production to being put out of theaters, it's probably hard. It's probably hard to put real heart into that. You know what I mean? From everybody, from the director all the way down to the key grip. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's probably hard when you're just trying to pump it out. And I think you're right. You talk about them trying to put it out hand over fist because as well as I do that in the Hollywood world, you got to stay relevant somehow. You know what I mean? And that's why you keep throwing stuff to the wall in hopes that it sticks. Well, this one didn't even hit the wall. You know what I mean? And I hope that they recognize that. I hope that they say, you know what, we can do a movie with social commentary, but let's handle it a little. Let's not beat them over the head with that wrench. You know what I mean? So maybe it'll be handled a little bit differently. Listen. I'm always into self introspection and trying to decide whether or not I feel the way that I think that I feel. You know what I mean? I really am. I'm not one to think that I know everything and that I got it all right. But I'll be damned if the Carruthers, which is my family name, um, my mom's family name, doesn't come out in me. And if you're going to try to hit me over the head with something, I'm going to hit you back with something else. You know what I mean? So, movies need to be made for people like me too, not just for the other people. So I think that every once in a while you got to handle one with a little bit of subtlety.
Yes, and this one certainly did not.
No, no,
Neo Review says Blumhouse has put on some good films, but generally they're just watering down the genre. Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly that's what's going on mainstream right now. It's like that, and then the A24 movies, which are completely the directors and slash writers' vision, and all that stuff. And sometimes that stuff's a real hit, sometimes it's a real miss. But it's interesting. That's really where we are right now.
yeah.
It's these two dynamics. It's the Blumhouse and that, and like it's just interesting to see where it is. Like I don't know if I like it, if I don't like it. I don't know, to be honest with you, man. I'm kind of just confused about the whole
Yeah. I don't like it. I'm just going to be straight up with you. Man, listen, dude, I never, I'm an 80s guy, right? I'm an 80s slasher guy. But god damn it if I'm not praying for a fucking Cherry Falls or some shit. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Which was a great movie, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, I'm feeling super nostalgic for the 90s now because which a lot of people think was terrible. You know what I'm saying? But I just want another fucking I Know What You Did Last Summer or a Scream or not another one of those, but something similar. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
mean, they are making a Scream 5 though. I heard. Is that true?
Yes, it's already completed. Apparently, they already.
Oh, for the love of God, that makes me nervous. But yeah, I don't know what we're gonna get, but it's funny because I think I used to feel when you and I first started talking and doing the podcast and everything, I used to be like, man, I wish we could have the '80s again, and now I'm just like, fucking, I'll take an urban legend.
I'll take.
You know what I mean?
And that's what's crazy. It's like the '90s, 10, 15 years ago, people were like, man, fuck that.
Yeah, right.
And then now it's like, oh man, but Scream and oh man, The Faculty, oh
Yeah.
man, Dead Alive, all
Yep.
Peter Jackson was doing. It's
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's become. I don't know if it's become old enough or if it's what the genre's market is just new and ready and available now. Like
Right.
you have all these Shutter Select movies that come straight to Shutter. The Blumhouse movies that have literally been going straight to Prime Video. I think it's people are really, Black said, watered down. We're sick of that taste already, and it's like barely gotten off the ground. So
Right.
I don't know. I think it's time to just kind of take a nice, subtle, stiff arm away from it. I hope some other companies start turning out horror, not A24. Like, give me
Right.
another, circuit scene or whatever to give me an old school or a new school slasher movie, some a slasher with a new spin on it, or something
Yeah.
that's not a ghost film. Maybe an old school monster movie. That would be fucking cool. Just
Yeah.
anything to just completely just shake things up a little bit. Give me a new taste.
Watch Love and Monsters.
Well, yeah.
It was actually really good. It's a monster movie, but it's like an old school monster movie. But I was thinking about it right before we started talking, John, and I thought I might be okay with just letting the slasher genre die at this point. Maybe give it fucking 20 years. Of course, I'll probably be fucking dead at that point. But you know what I mean, dude? I would rather remember it as it was than for it to become something like this 2000. And I hate to keep shitting on this movie, but it's what we're talking about because there's a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of watered down shit, but I would rather just let that shit die off and remember the Cherry Falls or the fucking, I don't know, man, the Just Before Dawns and Madmans and just have nostalgia that way and let them do it a different way. Stop fucking up my shit. You know what I mean?
I actually agree with that because like it's funny because like I was saying last week, how can you not be romantic about the genre? And I do feel that way. I am. some part of me is romantic about it for whatever reason. I just love it. I
Yeah.
always have, always will.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like it's there's only so much you can take to the point where you're just like, all right, like I may have to just call it a day here. Like I'm
Right.
getting off at this stop. I'm getting off at the next stop, and like that's the thing. Um, and I agree with you. I love looking, to yesteryear, your Madmans and like we were talking about Silent Madness before this thing started. It's something I love about looking back.
Right.
But yeah, there's not really much to look forward to because if it is, it's something with an established name because those will make money, and
Right.
the movies that aren't known aren't going to make money.
Right.
Obviously, Scream will make money. The Halloween movie made money, but you're not going to see any of that original stuff. So yeah, I kind of agree with you. I sort of agree. Like I love Dead Alive. That's your mother. That's my mother. You're pissing on.
Pissing on.
Dead Alive is a masterpiece, man. Secret Santa, I really liked that. Have you
I
seen?
haven't seen it. No, I have not seen it.
Okay, there's two Secret Santas. The 2018 film is directed by the idiot that did Jason Goes to Hell. Don't watch.
Oh, Adam Marcus.
Yeah, Adam Marcus.
Or, is that his name? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. The 2015 one, it's free. I don't know if you have Amazon Prime, but it's free on Amazon Prime. A lot of really good-looking women in it. My favorite is Miss Keegan Chambers, baby. I love Keegan Chambers. Follow her on the gram. Very good people. I've talked to her a few times. Awesome. I'm sorry. I'll follow that ass anywhere.
And she got a nice rack.
Yeah, she has some assets that I do enjoy. But she's also a wonderful human being and a great person, which is the more important thing. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's like this Secret Santa. It's a throwback to the 80s where it's this Secret Santa thing and they all get these gifts and they're all like murder weapons. And then one by one they're getting picked off. Some of the goriest fucking kills I've ever seen in a movie.
Okay.
Really fun time and a perfect Christmas watch. I would love to do an individual review if people are interested. Just a like a 10-minute. I can't do a whole episode on it, but I'd love an individual review of it. But you would love it, man. Good looking women.
Okay.
Great. Cool. I don't know if you ever seen Gutter Balls with that was the Ryan Nicholson one. Yeah. The one thing about that movie I love is the gore, and this has that type of. It's just crazy gore.
Okay.
Low budget, but you would like Secret Santa 2015 or 2016.
Okay. I'll
really
check it out.
Let me know.
Have you ever seen Pool Party Massacre?
Yes, I have. I
love that. Yeah, I love that movie. Drew Marvick is a cool dude. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's a pretty cool guy. But before we go, I wanted to tell you, and everybody watching and listening, I heard a new pickup line if you're single.
Oh, shit.
So you walk up to a girl and you say, "Don't you drive for Uber?" And she says, "No, why?" You say, "I just wanted to know where you picked up all that ass."
Oh, God.
You got to try that one. I'm sure it'll work.
You're sure it will work?
Yes, I'm sure. You test it out for me. And let me know.
I'll ever get smacked. You know that. My favorite pickup line of all time is, "Are your legs tired? Because you've been running through them so long." Did it hurt?
Oh, my God.
Fall from heaven.
Yeah, you're right. Right.
I love it.
Anyway.
But before we go, too, we got to rate this piece of shit. We got a little sidetracked. What would you get? I'm going to come in with the lowest score I've ever given on the show. I'm going to give it a -1 out of 10.
We can go negative?
Ever given a movie.
We can go negative.
Sure. This movie.
Listen, man. -1's that's negative. Yeah, I mean, if we can go negative, I'll go with you. I'll say a -1. I mean, if I was doing it on, say, IMDb, obviously you have to give it half a star, but yeah, no stars, dude. I mean, there's just nothing work. I mean, and I know that in a movie like this, you're not going to get, but there's no boobies. There's no, the kills are weak. The man hating is bad. I mean, there's just no positives in my opinion. There's only one positive, and that's the end. The end. Period. Yeah. When it's over.
I can actually breathe.
Right. So yeah, I'll go -1, 0, whatever you want to look at it. I wouldn't recommend anyone watch this movie unless you're looking to be pissed off for a night,
Yeah, for real.
or a week or a month. I think we got a pretty bad attitude about it, but yeah, zero, absolutely no stars.
Horrible.
So yeah,
Yeah, so recapping, we gave the original, I gave it a 10, Don gave it 9.5. The '06 film, we went right down the middle and agreed. We both felt it was a 6 out of 10. And then this new film, man, -1 and a -1.
yeah. This is.
Absolute shit show of a movie. Like you said at the beginning, from the absolute top of the peak to the absolute lowest valley that there ever was.
I would much rather watch Troll 2 27 times than to watch this motherfucker again. Yeah.
Oh my God! Have you ever seen the documentary on that? The best
I
one?
have.
Amazing documentary.
Very,
Really,
very interesting. Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that, definitely check that out. That might be on Prime too. I think that's where I saw that.
yeah, and it's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Really, if you love that movie or if you haven't seen that movie, that's a good way to be introduced to it, I think.
Yep.
Best worst movie, awesome. So, all right, though, we've been going at this. It's been a really, really fun conversation with you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. We got to do another commentary, dude. Those are fun, even if we just do it for us, man. Those are a blast.
Let me know what movie, because
All
I
right.
know we were going to do. I still want to do Candyman down the road. I just figured it would be perfect way to like
Right.
up to the new movie. But
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, let's wait for that. We'll come up with something else. I only got about 2,500 of them, so we'll figure it out.
But yeah, we'll totally figure out something down the road. But I want to say thank you as always for coming on. Again, one of my favorite people in the world. I always love talking horror with you, man. You're
Love
like
you, brother.
my Jedi master, and I am Padawan.
Ah,
But I finally made the council, baby. Give me my
hell yeah, man. Got your own. Yeah, you got your own show and everything, dude. I'm proud of you. I think it's awesome. And you know what, dude? I love the fact that you're a young man and you love the classics. You know what I mean? So it's hard to find somebody. I mean, you definitely are young enough to be my son. So we got what 30 years between us. You know what I'm saying, dude? Almost 30. Almost 30.
we think alike. Too.
Yeah, man, it's pretty crazy, ain't it?
Yeah.
You know what we need to do, John? You know what would be awesome is if we could figure out a way to have people call into a show at some time.
I did. I actually had that at one point.
Did you?
To the studio. Yeah, we could have people.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
We could do that though, for sure. We could do the live call-ins.
That would be sweet.
There'd be some fucking person to prank me.
It would be.
Line,
it would be me. I'd be like off the screen calling in, giving you a hard time.
You wearing like a mustache or eyes or something,
making fun of the Mets.
Oh God! Don't make fun of me. I got my hat right here. I believe the orange and blue. I don't believe black who's like people do.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of people saying great things in the comments. But had a blast as always. Thank you so much. Amanda's upstage showing. Amanda's my wonderful coworker. I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much.
Nice.
Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it, Amanda, so much. I do have an old soul. I'm like an old man in like a almost 24-year-old body now. So
almost 24.
Next week, next Wednesday, man, I'll be doing the Silent Night Daily Night 2 live stream. So that's
all right. Yeah, I'll definitely be on for that.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, my friend. Stay safe, everybody. I don't know if it snowed by y'all, but it snowed by me. So stay safe, drive safe, stay away from the corona. Have a wonderful, wonderful, safe weekend. And we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet. Peace. We'll catch y'all.